Hi everyone, this is James G0SEC in the shack. It's my shack night really. It's my YL is out having a time with her friends, and I thought I'd come in the shack here and do a latest video. It's not the best quality video because it's late at night. The light in here is not that very good, and but I thought I'd just give you a quick update. I'm going to do a better video at some point, get that on YouTube, and I've been doing a few alterations in the shack, etc., to compensate for the new gear. But just show you what's new, and show you, give you a very quick tour without sounding really corny of the shack. I still use the 3 monitors. I've had lots of questions over the last few weeks. Actually, let me just turn the radio down a minute. I've had lots of questions over the last few weeks on where do I get my desk. That's the main one I've got. The desk is made. I made it myself, and so the desk, unfortunately, you can't get anywhere. It's all purposely made, and you'll see that my mixer fits in there perfectly, and you know, the little audio things that I've got that I use, and so it's custom made. Unfortunately, like you know, I wanted my Radcom. And I wanted a rack so it's out of the way, and so I thought I'd build a unit there, and it's all matching. It's beech, real beech, not the cheap stuff. So but I get asked all the time, where did you get your desk? It's really nice for radio and stuff. But to answer all your questions, I made my desk myself. Lots of painstaking hours designing it, and thinking about coming up with the design of it, and where I'm going to have everything. It's brainstorming. Anyway, the main radio is the ICOM 7800. Had it now for about 6 months, and I must say I absolutely love it. It's a great, fantastic radio. Let me just turn up the audio and show you on the. It's a beautiful bit of kit. It really is, and. It's not the best of light in here. Everything seems to looks fluorescent in here for some reason. But I'll talk you through some of the equipment for those of you that haven't seen any of my videos before. I use 3 monitors in the shack. One of the monitors I can, they're all on a switcher box, and I can switch them over. I can have whatever screen I want on any monitor, and sometimes you know, I get the edge and have this one over here on the left hand side, and then sometimes, rarely do I have it in the middle, and sometimes I like my logging program, which I use, is called NGenLog, and also connected to the radio. It's also connected to the Yaesu G1000 DXC rotator, so when I type in a call sign, it comes up with the QRZ picture, and it also turns the rotor to the right beam heading. And so I've got 3 monitors in the shack that I'm still using, which is ideal. They're sort of the outer 2 are at sort of angles, so I can see from the operating position, sort of thing. So it's quite nice and comfy. And I'll go from the ICOM 7800. That's the main radio, and a new addition to the shack is tiny little radio. It looks really like it's a bright display, but it's not really that bright in the shack here. It's just that the camera doesn't like it that much, and it sort of looks brighter than it is. But the 847 is the little radio I use for 2 meters and 70 sems, and occasionally I sort of, you know, I use it for audio checks on 7800, and vice versa. I check the audio on the 7800 for the Yaesu, and to make sure everything's all singing and dancing. The underneath that is a little ATU, little manual ATU. Don't use it that often, but it's handy to have for the 847. And got a power supply here. Got another power supply at the back there, and meters, etc. But I use mainly use the one at the back these days. It's switch mode. Don't usually like switch mode power supplies, but that one's quite nice, and there's no fan noise with it, etc. And this one here is my old faithful Nisei, I can't pronounce it, Nisei 300 GL, DPS 300 GL power supply, about 30 amp I think. And over here we got my mixer, I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute, and how I use the mixer and my audio equipment. And over there I have my professional digital mini disc recorder. I use that for recording playback, and always nice to play back someone's transmission, their audio. And I use it for recording things that I would like to listen to, and sometimes I have a really good old QSO and I pop a disc in and I record it, and it records myself and the QSO, and it's exactly, and I mean exactly, like the original. So it does a grand job, and not a easy bit of equipment to get hold of. These are very rare, and they're about £2.5 to sort of £3,000 new. So they're very quite expensive bit of kit, but they're very good, and strongly recommend if you're looking for doing the recording and playback and in your shack, then this is the beast to have. It's probably one of the best mini disc professional recorders you ever get your hands on. And underneath it is the a downward expander. Basically my audio, I have the sorry if you can hear my chair. I'm going to get a new chair in the shack soon. My I think I've swiveled around on it too much, and it's on its last legs. It doesn't really it sort of it doesn't, I think it needs oiling or something. It's definitely a new chair coming soon, I think. But the microphone I use is the PR781 by Heil, and that was made really for the 7700 and the 7800, and it's a cracking microphone for the 7800, and it's on a Heil boom that goes to the back of the shack. And then audio wise, it goes from the mic PR781, it goes to the mic 2200. This is a tube preamp, and it really is nice because it gives you a nice warm sort of broadcasty sort of sound, if that makes any sense. And then from the mic 2200, let me just turn that radio down a minute, turn that down. From the mic 2200 it goes to the downward expander. It's a XR2000 noise gate and expander, downward expander, and that basically gets rid of all the background noise, fans in the shack and so forth, and just totally eliminates all of them. And then it goes from the downward expander noise gate to the DEC 2496. This is the DEC. To show you my my settings here on the PEC. Hang on, let me just so I don't know if you can see that. It's probably a little bit too bright. You can see my that's how I have my audio, and I can set. I've got all kinds of different settings in here. I don't know if you probably won't be able to see that. But there's my audio. No, I don't think you can. The camera just doesn't like it. Oh, if I go from the side, you might see it. That's all my audio settings that I have in my deck. But that's a DEC 2496, and from the DEC 2496 it goes up to the DBX compressor. I usually have it bypassed and don't use it unless I'm doing real serious DX, and then I'll switch in the DBX just to give it a bit of nice compression. From there it goes to the mixer, and all the audio racks I'm using I'm using balanced connections. It's all balanced, and it's using star quad cable, and the cable I use is all top grade Van Dam cable, star quad, and it's very good. There's no you don't get any humming or anything like that, or any RF problems, and no RFI or etc. But I used a mixer, and this is a real essential bit of kit for audio playback and so forth, and receiving audio in the shack. And it looks like this light here is really bright, but in reality it's not. It's just that the camera's picking up on it, and it doesn't, for some reason it doesn't like the color blue, this camera. It's one of these Samsung HD cameras that I'm doing this video on. But I used the mixer for a numerous amount of things, and it's an absolute godsend piece of equipment. It's actually built into my desk. Don't know if you can see under there, but no, you can't see it. But this is actually built into the desk, and the reason I've done that and I built it into the desk, and there's a hole and it sits inside the desk, is because one, it's at the nice level for when I'm operating up the radio equipment, and two, I wanted it to obviously stay there and not move, and it's at the right level. And the main thing why it's set in the desk is because I'll probably never ever change it. And I'll just briefly tell you what this mixer does and what it does for me. The audio coming from both radios, the 847 and the 7800, goes into the mixer, goes into the stereo in. There's two of them. They're both jacks are in. I don't just use the left channel, and they go into the line inputs in the mixer. So these two channels here, this one's the radio, and so you can hear that. So that one's the 7800, this one is the 847, the ASU 847, and I basically have that, and sorry, the PC audio also. This is for the PC here, and what I usually do is the good thing about this mixer, which is really nice mixer, is I don't know if you can see that. Let me just it's probably not it's not going to do that, is it? But the mixer is great because all the receive audio that comes in from the radios, the RX audio, goes to the sub output. It's like having two mixers in one, and all the RX audio goes to the sub output on the back of the mixer. The sub output goes to this very tiny little amplifier, which is here, and only looks small, but it's very, very powerful. If you see, I can't have it up too much because it's just too much kick in it. I think it's about 100 watts, something like that. Oh no, sorry, 80 watts. So it really does a grand job. From there it goes to the speakers on the wall. They've got a couple of B&W speakers. They really do sound lovely. They really do. You probably won't hear it over a video because I'm just using HD camera. Well, it's meant to be HD camera. I don't know how clear this will come out because the light's not very good in here at the moment because it's at night. But the RX audio goes to the mixer, goes to the amplifier, little amp, then goes to the speakers. The cable I use is top grade cable. It's really expensive stuff. It's about £25 a meter, and that's for the audio cable. And the reason I use the really good stuff is there's no RF problems, nothing gets through it. No, I've never had any problems at all with RF, actually, come to tell the truth. But it's really good quality and it sounds amazing. And the other side of the mixer is the audio that goes from the microphone, or from the deck. It goes from the deck here. It goes into the mic input. I use channel 4 myself, and that goes out to the main, so I can switch that into the main, and it goes out through the main output, and the main output then goes to the isolator, which is behind there. I don't know if you can see that. It looks a bit squashed up, but it's not. I can really get my hands in there and do all the things I need to do to switch the radios across. Basically what that does is it switches it across from that radio to the 7800, so I can use the same microphone. And there's different line levels for each radio, and the 847 doesn't have a line in, unlike the 7800 where I'm using the rear connection on the ACC one, and that's a line level connection. But on the 847 it's a mic input, so what I do is I have a separate channel, which is this one here. That's the channel I use for the 847 microphone, and I can just switch it across, and obviously the settings are totally different for the 847 than they are for the 7800. And the reason I like to have them separate, what the receive audio going through the sub output and the other audio from the microphone to the radio and transmit part and the playback facility going through the main output, is you don't get any feedback. It's a bit like this mixer is like two mixers in one sort of thing. And the beauty of this mixer is you can whatever channel you've got, you can actually route it to whatever output you want it to go to. So it's very, very handy bit of kit. It's also got some very, very good. It's that light. I don't know if you can see it. That light looks really, really blue, and there's a digital display on the mixer there, but it's not really coming out very well on the camera. It's just a tiny little bit too bright for the camera, I guess, but it doesn't actually look bright in real life here. But there's 4 EQs per channel, and there's all got kinds of things like FX and stuff, and you know, reverb and echo, which I don't use. I don't use like the echo and all the different effects that this mixer has. I just basically use it for radio. But I do use the EQ, and I use it in conjunction with the other audio racks that I've got, like the DEC 2496, and I just give it you know, there's 4 EQs. There's one which is the for the high. There's one for the mid-range, there's a frequency for the mid-range, and then you've got for the low. And I do use that. I don't know if you can see the settings I got for my microphone. As you see, they're slightly different. And it just makes just gives the audio that edge, that final touch, and it really does sound a terrific audio that I have. So anyway, this is what I use the mixer for, and the mini disc recorder is also plugged into the mixer, and then I can switch it from the mixer. I can then switch it and send it to the main output, or send it to the sub, etc. So if I want to play it back over the air to someone that I've just recorded their transmission and they want to hear the playback, I just send it to the main output, and obviously when I PTT my transceiver for the foot switch, it goes out and plays it over the air. So very simple to do, and really effective. But I hope that gives you an insight to my my latest shack video. I'm going to do a better one at a later stage, and hope I haven't drove you too scatty or too mad with my I've tried to keep my arm as still as possible, but holding a camera in your hand for I don't know what it is, 15 minutes or so, not easy to do. Anyway, 7 threes and all the best from G0SEC.